Good morning for 99.5 FM WGRV. I'm Reid Seals, and I'm here for our monthly interview with Greene County Mayor Kevin Morrison. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Reid.
So first thing, why was Animal Control chosen as the next group to get digital radios?
Animal Control was chosen as the next group basically because they are one of the groups that we put into phase 2 to get the radios. When we first implemented the digital radio system, we identified the Sheriff's Department and EMS as the primary recipients for the first phase. Those two phases are completed. Those two departments are now under the digital TACAN system, working very well. The feedback that we get from the deputies, the paramedics, and EMTs is that communication is very good. We identified animal control and then the volunteer fire departments as the next recipients of phase 2, if you will, to receive the digital radios. The fire department's still discussing, for instance, whether they want to begin to transition to the digital radio network or stay with what they've got on the UHF VHF system, the analog system, and whether we might need to upgrade that. Obviously, there's increased cost to that. That's not something that we would consider perhaps burdening the volunteer fire departments with, but obviously they have a need for many more radios for communication, and so we're establishing a meeting with the Fire Association and the fire chiefs to determine sort of how we want to proceed. We want to try to help the volunteer fire departments as much as possible to meet their equipment needs, to help them out. We know this is a very stressful time for them. But Animal Control was chosen because they were one of the next two departments to implement the digital radio system.
Why was it so difficult to find someone to repair the X-ray inspection system at the courthouse?
Well, that system obviously is very sensitive, as most would expect it to be. There are very few companies and folks with that type of expertise anywhere near us here. So the company that actually installed or markets the system, and our system here at the Greene County Courthouse was installed new in late 2007, 2008. The equipment basically quit working, and we had to find someone and some company that could repair it. And the repair costs were rather excessive, as well as getting the technician to come on site to repair it. We could have got a technician up here. You know, you're paying TDY, hotel stay, that sort of thing. In fact, just to get a technician here was almost as much in terms of cost as it would have been to repair the system, even if what they diagnosed was wrong with our system was actually in fact what was wrong with it. And then, you know, you're talking about a piece of equipment that's 13 years old now. It's very sensitive. So how much more service life could we have gotten out of that piece of equipment? So rather than do that, not knowing that exactly what the repair was and the cost associated with it, we decided that it was probably best just to replace that piece of equipment.
Can you give us an update on COVID at the annex? And I know you were quarantined for a while. Can you tell us your experience?
Fresh out of quarantine, yes. About 3 weeks ago, we had one of the employees fell rather ill, not necessarily with COVID symptoms, which was quite unique in the fact that she did not have a fever or any associated breathing problems, but she did sort of present with like a head cold or allergies, and got to feeling worse. Actually went home before the end of the workday because she wasn't feeling well. Between the time that she was to return, lost her sense of taste and smell, which was a marker for her to get tested. She went to the health department, got tested. Her test came back within about 48 hours that she was positive. But because of the close working space and association with the HR director, there was a number of us that were identified by the Tennessee Department of Health, the health department, as being high-risk close contacts. And any time that happens, they try to obviously stem the spread of the virus. So they asked 7 folks inside the annex, and unfortunately, we were all sort of in key positions to quarantine for 14 days. So 7 of us had to work remotely from home. In addition to working remotely from home, we had a little honey-do list that got my attention, so to the point that I necessarily don't want to return to quarantine. But as of today, we do not have any employees that are sick, and we continue to encourage people that no matter how mild the symptoms are, don't come to work. Take it very seriously. Stay away from people. If symptoms develop consistent with COVID, then certainly go get tested and try to help us stem the spread of this thing.
Tell us about the upgraded tax rating for the county, and I know that also relates to the Employee of the Month for September, so you can talk about that as well.
Yes, this is something that all Greene Countyans can be very pleased and very excited about, especially in the environment and given the conditions that we're in with COVID. Moody's Investment Rating Services came and evaluated Greene County, or has been evaluating Greene County for quite some time over the course of the last year or so, looking at the different fund balances, debts, debt service, and they upgraded our credit rating from A1 to AA3, which represents a very low risk for investors, or a credit risk, if you will. And it puts us in a very premium spot if we need to borrow any type of money in the future for any type of capital project or improvement. This is something that you strive for. Obviously, what they're saying to you, much like a personal credit rating, is that you are an excellent risk to pay money back if we lend you money, and it came at a time when Moody's made it very clear to us that most governments or institutions are not upgrading or even considering upgrading. They're remaining static at the level that they are, but they chose to upgrade Greene County basically because of the excellent financial condition that Greene County is in, the very conservative budgeting and planning and financial management that we have in place. This is due to a lot of people doing a lot of great work pulling together. And the linchpin in all of this has been our budget director, Danny Lowry. So we named him the Employee of the Month on Monday night, and give him the county's medallion and a little certificate of appreciation. But his whole team, insurance, payroll, payables, receivables, I mean, that whole office really works somewhat like a well-oiled machine. A lot of kudos and hats off to the county commission that has managed and discerned very wisely, made very wise choices about creating a capital improvement fund to deal with things, for instance, like the scanner at the courthouse, to where that there's money set aside to pay for these different things that occur, little emergencies that occur. One of the hallmarks of the 2 campaigns countywide that I've run is that we don't spend more money than we take in. That's been a consistent practice under my predecessor, Mayor Crum. Certainly is something that I've made a hallmark of my administration. So when you're not doing sort of reckless things with your money, and you're investing wisely, and you're making very good choices, the department heads, for instance, need to be acknowledged here as well. They understand that they're not going to be punished for spending for items that they need, or turning in revenue at the end of the year. They're not going to have their budgets cut. They're going to be adequately funded at a level that they can operate in, and that any type of equipment or personnel needs are going to be addressed in a timely and fair fashion, and that trust circle is very delicately built, and we have a great team, county commission, department heads, budget director, administration, and everybody's to be congratulated for this achievement, because it is achievement at this particular time, given our environment, and Moody's confirmed that. So.
Well, I want to thank Greene County Mayor Kevin Morrison for joining us this morning. This is Reid Seals for 99.5 FM WGRV.